Hi, Tom Trento, Director of the United West, on Tuesday, October 13th. And we're going to take a deep look at the problems occurring in Israel, in particular in Jerusalem. Some people calling it a third intifada, a third uprising. Some people just saying it's Islamic Jihad. With us to get his analysis is Jack Abramoff. And Jack has been on our show before. He's the author of Capital Punishment, fascinating book. And he is an Orthodox Jew. So we're going to get that perspective and his political analysis right now. Jack, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
You're sitting wherever you've been sitting over the past couple of weeks, and you're looking at the news feed and reading. What hits your heart when you look at what's going on in Israel?
Well, I think what's going on in Israel is the consequence of decades of appeasement of vicious, savage animals, basically. You have people who understand violence, who've been dealt with as if they're somehow part of the Marquess of Queensberry's court. And these folks are busy in this particular outburst, killing children, killing elderly people, killing women, having drive-by shootings against others. And this is what's going on, and it's spreading like a virus. I read today that it's spreading like a zombie virus, one after the other. And all of this is the consequence of the West, unfortunately, putting unbelievable pressure on Israel, and Israel's leaders to some degree as well going along with it, of treating these violent thugs as if they somehow are part of the democratic process, a negotiation process, or they're somehow going to live side by side in peace. They're not. Now, you can see one example in the world of somebody who deals with this problem in a certain way, and as a consequence, you don't see this problem in his country, and that's Vladimir Putin. You don't see any Russians getting beheaded. You don't see elderly and youth and the rest getting shot, because if it happens in Russia, like the America of old, whenever the hoodlums used to attack us in the old days, we used to have a saying, America, your best friend, your worst enemy. Well, right now, we're your worst friend and your best enemy, and we spread this disease to Israel, and this is the consequence on the streets, that thugs think it's okay to go out and maraud and kill, and they're doing it with aplomb in Israel, and it's really quite frightening.
Yeah, there's another element to this, Jack. We have obviously the thugs, the Hamas, the Fatah, all these different groups, and these kids are running around. I've entered into dialogue with various Muslims, and the facts don't matter. All they do is they see a 13-year-old shot by the IDF or the police, and that's it. Israel's horrible. But we got this Oslo syndrome, where many of these kids running around now, are post-Oslo, and all they know is the fact that they're supposed to kill Jews, hate Jews, and fight for their freedom, whatever. What are we going to do with the Oslo syndrome in these kids?
Well, I don't know quite that we can do anything when you have a Palestinian Authority whose educational systems teaches that Israelis and Jews are pigs and apes and people who deserve to be slaughtered. One of the great crimes here is that Mahmoud Abbas and the rest of these clowns over in the Palestinian Authority, and certainly the Hamas people, are vicious terrorists. The stuff they put out, frankly, would make Julius Streicher, who was the great propagandist of the Nazi Party, blush. And every child is getting this stuff. So how do you then combat that? I think, unfortunately, Israel's in a position where at this point, it's got to use extreme force to put these people down, extreme force to keep them segregated away from the Jewish and Christian populations, and find a way to make these people understand that they don't have a path to victory through violence and through this kind of thuggery. And they do it, they're going to die.
All right, Jack, we got about a minute left, and I know you're a man of deep faith, an Orthodox Jew. If you had the opportunity, and you've counseled and sat with many leaders and world leaders in your life, if you had the opportunity to sit with Benjamin Netanyahu, as an Orthodox Jew, maybe more in the spiritual realm, what would be your words of advice to him right now?
I don't know that I would have much advice for him. He's actually quite good. And he's not necessarily the most observant Jew in the world, but he's certainly traditional. I think he understands the spiritual dynamic and dimension here. And I'm not quite certain I'd be able to advise any of them, because also don't forget the Israelis have more facts on the ground than we know. All we can react to is what we see in the media. And unfortunately, as you know, Tom, the media generally portray this thing inappropriately. And the headlines, even the Wall Street Journal today, I noticed the headline was Israeli police kill Palestinians, as if this is Israel's fault. So I'm not quite sure that I would have any advice for him. I'm sure, frankly, he's wise. He's one of the wisest world leaders, certainly today and maybe in recent times. And I think that his sapient approach to things is probably sagacious enough that he'll be able to figure out what to do. The big problem he has, though, is the United States and the West that's constantly pounding Israel to behave in this bizarre fashion. In essence, line up Israelis and just get killed and stop complaining about it. And it's very frightening.
Unbelievable. And I also know that you have a real heart for the Christian community worldwide in the United States. Take 30 seconds, close us out with your admonition to the Christian world right now as we figure out how to help Israel.
Well, I think the Christian world has to continue to exhibit more simpatico for other Christians around the world. And I want to just tell you about something that's really important, Tom. In Congress last week, Congressman Dana Rohrabacher of Orange County, California, who, by the way, is one of the absolute greatest leaders in the Congress. He's chairman of the European and Emerging Threats Subcommittee, put in legislation to declare the Christians in the Middle East the subjects of genocide, which in fact they are, which will then give them the priority to come into the United States with all this new immigration that Obama's trying to foist on us from the Middle East. That's fine if they're Christians. If he's going to be bringing in Muslim terrorists, though, as he's wont to do, we're going to have a real problem. So Dana Rohrabacher deserves absolute kudos as a rescuer of Christianity and the example that all Christians should follow.
All right, Jack, thank you very much for your insightful analysis. We'll catch up with you next week or maybe sooner if conditions on the ground require. You take care and stay safe, all right?
Thanks, Tom.
All right, take care.